As an associate dean, I found myself in an administrative position without a lot of direction and clarity about my role and responsibilities. As I worked each day, I kept thinking, I want to be a good leader. I want to be seen as a knower, because that's how I understood myself to be in my role as a professor. And so this new role, I found myself being really anxious about getting it right and doing it well. Before I knew it, I was working all the time, busy every day, running around in circles, moving really, really fast without really moving forward. In addition to being an administrator, I still had all of my other responsibilities: teaching, conducting research, trying to be of service in the greater Pittsburgh community. And oh, I'm also a wife and a mother of 2. Before long, I was unrecognizable to myself and even those who I love. One day, while driving down Route 28, I was on the phone talking to a friend, and I was sharing with her how exhausted I was. And as she listened to me share and talk about my sleepless nights, my weight gain, my short temper with my husband and children, she said to me very calmly and with lots of love, "Surrender." "Surrender?" I said. "What do you mean?" "Surrender. I mean just that." And I heard myself choke as the word swelled up in my throat. I don't know what that means. And I surely don't know how to do that. We continued our conversation until I got home, and I said goodbye. And as I walked into the house to start the second shift, cooking, transporting kids, all of that primary caretaker work that's invisible to everybody except those of us who do it, I realized that the word surrender kept coming up in my head. And after I settled the kids and everybody was in their place, I decided that I would just sit down and pour myself a glass of wine. And as I sat there in silence, it occurred to me that I could not remember the last time I sat by myself in silence. No cell phone, no TV, no email, no alerts, nobody to attend to. And then the full weight and heaviness of the word surrender came back to me. What does she mean? Surrendering is not a good thing. It literally means stop fighting. I give up. You've decided you will not win. And as I sat there in silence, memories of my grandmother flooded my mind. And this is a picture of her when she was 18. And she was this extraordinary woman. And there in the quietness, I realized how much I miss her every day. She worked really hard, and she loved really large, and she always, always gave of herself. Before I was born, my grandmother worked in fields picking cotton days on end. She cooked and cleaned for dozens of people every day. She washed clothes on a washboard and hung them on a clothesline to dry. And when the weight from the clothes made the line fall down, she picked them up and washed them again. I never remember my grandmother sitting down. She woke early and she went to bed late. And I realized I modeled my life after her. I would take advantage of all of the things she did not have access to as a black woman born in the 1920s. I would go to college. I would go to graduate school. I would have a professional career. I would meet a man that I adore and marry him. I would have a family, and I would take care of that family the way she had taken care of hers. But then it hit me. My grandmother always saved time for herself. She had this whole internal world that was all her own. I even remember walking in on her, reading the Bible, or listening to gospel music, or just sitting in silence, humming. And I realized that my grandmother had a very different definition of surrender. And like many black women of her generation, it was a counter definition. Instead of giving in, giving up, she would give inward. It occurs to me that in our fear of not doing enough, we often are busying ourselves with lots and lots of work because there's so much to do. And in that work, that very good work, we oftentimes forget to honor what we're here, who we are. We are human beings and not human doers. And so today, I have learned to pay attention to me. I have learned to enjoy the things that make me happy and bring me joy at the same time that I work really hard. So now, I read books that make me laugh out loud. I pay attention to what I eat most of the time. I sleep throughout the night, and now I am recognizable to myself. Thank you.